Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Brazilian in Action. My name is Andrew, and today we have a very special story for you. If you want to improve your listening in a natural and simple way, you are in the right place. And before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel because that really helps Brazilian in Action grow and reach more people who want to learn English.
Hi, everyone. I'm Fernanda, and I'm very excited about today's episode because we are going to tell a story that is very real for many Brazilians. Today, I'm going to share my experience about a job interview in English. It was stressful, it was emotional, and it changed the way I see my English learning journey.
That's right, Fernanda. And while you listen to this story, try to imagine yourself in this situation. What would you say? How would you feel? Would you feel confident or would you feel nervous?
Andrew, I remember that day very clearly. I had applied for a position at an international company. It was a great opportunity with a good salary and the possibility to work with people from different countries. When they sent me the email saying that the interview would be in English, my heart started beating so fast.
I can imagine, Fernanda. Even if we study English for years, when it becomes something serious, like a job interview, the pressure feels completely different. What was the first thing you thought when you read that email?
Honestly, Andrew, my first thought was, I'm not ready. Even though I could understand many things in English, I was afraid of speaking. I was afraid of making mistakes. I was afraid of not understanding the interviewer if he spoke too fast.
That fear is very common. Many people think their English is worse than it really is. So what did you do to prepare for the interview?
I tried to prepare by writing answers to common questions like, tell me about yourself and why do you want this job? I practiced in front of the mirror. I read my answers out loud. But I noticed something important, Andrew. When I practiced alone, I felt confident. But when I imagined a real person asking me questions, I felt nervous again.
That's very interesting, Fernanda, because practicing alone and listening to real English are very different experiences. So tell me, what happened on the day of the interview?
On the day of the interview, I woke up very early. I was already anxious. I tried to calm down, I drank some water, and I reviewed my notes one more time. The interview was online, so I checked my internet connection at least 3 times because I didn't want any technical problems.
That already shows how important this opportunity was for you. So when the interview started, how did you feel?
When the interviewer appeared on the screen and said, "Good morning, Fernanda. How are you today?" I smiled and answered, "I'm fine, thank you." But inside, Andrew, I was extremely nervous. My hands were shaking under the table.
And did he speak slowly or fast?
At first, he spoke slowly and clearly. He asked me to tell me about myself. I had practiced that answer many times, so I started speaking confidently. I talked about my professional experience, my skills, and my goals. But then things changed.
What do you mean things changed?
After my introduction, he started asking more specific questions about past projects I worked on. He spoke a little faster, and he used some words I didn't know. That's when I started to feel lost.
That moment when you understand maybe 70%, but the other 30% makes you insecure.
Exactly, Andrew. I understood most of the question, but I was not sure. And instead of asking him to repeat, I tried to guess what he meant. That made my answer confusing.
And how did he react?
He looked a little confused and asked me to clarify my answer. That was the moment when I felt my confidence going down. I thought, this is it. I'm losing this opportunity because of my English.
You know, Fernanda, this situation is very common. Many people don't lose opportunities because they're not competent. They lose opportunities because they don't train their listening and speaking in real situations.
That's true, Andrew. And actually, this reminds me of something very important.
Gente, deixa a gente abrir parênteses rápido aqui, porque isso que aconteceu comigo acontece com muita gente todos os dias.
Muitas vezes a pessoa até sabe gramática, sabe escrever, mas não treinou o ouvido o suficiente. E quando chega numa situação real, como uma entrevista de emprego, trava.
Foi exatamente por isso que a gente criou o Inglês Fácil com áudio. Um material simples, direto ao ponto, pensado principalmente para quem é iniciante ou ainda não se sente confiante ouvindo inglês.
E o mais importante é que ele foi feito para você treinar todos os dias, de forma leve, ouvindo e repetindo frases simples que realmente são usadas na vida real.
A gente colocou o valor de apenas R$ 12,90 justamente para que qualquer pessoa possa começar. É um preço simbólico para você conhecer mais de perto o nosso método.
Então, se você quer se preparar melhor para situações como entrevistas, viagens ou conversas reais, aproveita o QR Code que está aparecendo agora na tela e começa hoje mesmo.
E agora vamos continuar a história.
So, Andrew, after that confusing moment, I decided to be honest. I told the interviewer, "I'm sorry, could you please repeat the question a little more slowly?" And something interesting happened.
What happened?
He smiled and repeated the question slowly. And then I realized something important. He was not there to judge me. He was there to understand if I was capable of doing the job.
That is such an important lesson. Sometimes we create pressure in our own minds that is bigger than reality.
Yes. After that, I felt a little more relaxed. I stopped trying to be perfect. I started focusing on communicating clearly, even if my sentences were simple.
Simple English is powerful English.
Exactly. I started using shorter sentences, clear ideas. I spoke about my experience in a simple and direct way. And even when I didn't know a specific word, I explained the idea using other words.
That is real communication, not perfection, but clarity.
At the end of the interview, he said, "Thank you, Fernanda. We will contact you soon." When the call ended, I felt exhausted. It was like I had run a marathon.
I can imagine. And then came the waiting period, right?
Yes, the waiting was the worst part. For 3 days, I kept thinking about every mistake I made. I remembered the moments when I hesitated. I remembered the words I couldn't say.
That is very human. We always focus on what went wrong, not on what went right.
Exactly. But then, on the 4th day, I received an email. And when I opened it, I saw the words, "We are happy to inform you."
Don't tell me.
Yes, Andrew, I got the job.
That is amazing, Fernanda. So even with nervousness, even with mistakes, you were good enough.
Yes, but I also learned something very important. I realized that if I want to grow in my career, I need to continue improving my English, especially my listening.
Growth never stops, and your story shows that English does not need to be perfect to open doors. It needs to be functional.
So if you are listening to us right now and you feel insecure about your English, remember this. Confidence comes from practice, and practice needs to be consistent.
And before we finish today's episode, we want to remind you to subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this story. That helps Brazilian in Action grow and reach more people who want to transform their English.
And don't forget, your English journey is not about being perfect. It's about taking action every single day.
Brazilian in Action, the best English content in the world.